Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Rundown. I'm Kyle Stackpole, editor for WashingtonFootball.com. Here with me, as always, and you can actually see him this time, Zach Selby, staff writer. Zach, what's going on?
Well, this has been a long time coming, man, but we are finally on video, and these fans are able to see our beautiful faces. Well, at least one of our beautiful faces, anyway.
Come on.
But yeah, man, it's been a fun week so far. It's Thursday. We're finally getting into the Giants. It's going to be a big 3-game stretch of NFC East opponents for the Washington football team. And before we get on here, I want to remind everybody this is an official podcast of the Washington football team. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now YouTube, which is awesome, and the WashingtonFootball.com website. And you can check him out on the Twitters at Kyle F. Stackpole and me at Zach D. Selby. And Kyle, tell us a little bit about the show today.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about what Washington needs to turn it around because the first stretch of the season was really tough, and now we're looking ahead, and there's opportunities to win. So we'll start with that. Then we have an interview with Giants.com senior writer and editor Michael Eisen. So we'll be talking to him shortly and get all the insight on Daniel Jones and that defense and Joe Judge. And then we'll finish it up with some mailbag questions and who we got. So to start, though, I know we were talking about where you can find the podcast, and be sure to rate and subscribe and give us 5 stars if you like it. We said that we would read some reviews as we got them, and we did get another one. Ooh. So I'm going to read this for you guys. This is George Collins, Rays Baseball. Good pod with new voices.
Okay.
That's solid. And so he says, listening to this makes me feel like I'm cheating on JP, Mitch, and Pete, but it's nice to get even more quality content to listen to throughout the week. So thanks for producing an informative pod.
Honestly, that makes me chuckle like every time that I read it. And JP, Mitch, and Pete, they do give a great podcast. But hey, what do I always say? We deliver the best content all the time, every time. That's right. So I mean, I think we're up there as well. We do deliver some good content.
Yeah. So I really appreciate the review, and like we said, if you take the time out to give a review and rate and subscribe, we want to highlight you guys because we appreciate you all following along. But let's jump right into it because the first 5 games, Washington has started 1-4, but their 4 losses, the combined record of those teams, 15-5.
Yeah.
So, and Coach Rivera said it. The teams they lost to are very good football teams. Mm-hmm. We knew the Ravens were going to be very good. The Rams this season, very good. And then you have the Cleveland Browns too. They're surprisingly 4-1. Yep. Going forward, though, let me read the next 7 weeks because there's a lot of opportunities here. So we have Giants.
0-5.
0-5. Cowboys.
1-4.
2-3.
2-3. Oh,
but it's not that much better.
Yeah.
Bye week. Giants again. Lions. Bengals. Cowboys. Combined record 4-14-1. So really going into this week, what needs to happen for Washington to turn this around and really show some growth and really have some success?
Well, they need to be more consistent. I mean, that's something that Ron Rivera has preached pretty much since Sunday afternoon after that 30-10. I mean, we'll just call it what it was. It was a beatdown, about at the hand of the Rams. And, you can say, the weather had a contributing factor to that, and it did. And, obviously that was great that Alex Smith was out there. But at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that 30-10, big loss. And I think there's been times, even in that game, where there were good moments. You see Kyle Allen go out there and rush for a 7-yard touchdown. I mean, then they go down there and with Alex Smith's first, or I think it was second drive, and they score a field goal. Yep. So that's good. But at the same time, they gave up 8 sacks, and then they did basically nothing in the second, like less than nothing actually, in the second half. So this team is growing and it's young, it's developing. So that's a good thing. But you want to see those growing pains that he's been mentioning a lot kind of go away at some point. And they're going to need it right now because this is one of those points here where it's going to tell you a lot about how the rest of the season is going to go.
Definitely. And I think going off of consistency is being able to start fast.
Yeah.
So dating back to last season, and I couldn't believe this stat when JP actually tweeted it yesterday, Washington is trailed by double digits at halftime for 7 straight games.
Lord.
7 straight games. And for the season, it's trailed by more than 1 score, so at least 9 points, 52% of the time. So more than half the time, they're down by 2 scores.
Yep.
It's just so hard to get into a rhythm and really find your offensive identity when you're constantly playing from behind. And it also allows the defense to, as Coach Rivera said, pin their ears back and just get after the quarterback because you really have to pass the ball. You don't have much option.
Real quick, three of their 5 opponents have scored on their opening drives.
And it's like when you're playing from behind, it's so tough, and especially when you're down by 2 scores, to really do what you came into the game to do and follow that game plan. The one game where they had the lead for the most amount of time, aside from Philadelphia, was Cleveland. Yeah. And that was during that first half and early in that second half, that was some of the best the offense has looked this season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really important to get ahead, or not even just get ahead, but you got to be in the game. You can't be down by a couple scores and expect to just be able to come back like they did against Philly. Mm-hmm. And luckily for Washington, the Giants have scored 5 offensive touchdowns in 5 games this year. So if there was ever a game to get out fast and get a lead, it's going to be against the Giants.
Well, that also helps with the other factor, which is limiting those big plays that they've had. I mean, I wrote a story on Monday about, you can find it on WashingtonFootball.com about this. It's, it goes into consistent, but it also brings up how there was a lot of big plays against the Rams. And, you look at that 56-yard touchdown that Jared Goff threw to Robert Woods, and then I think it was a 40-yarder to Cooper Kupp. Mm-hmm. And that just it puts the nails in the coffin in a lot of different ways. And then you have that 46-yard run from Cam Akers. I mean, it doesn't help when you've got the rain beating down on you. You don't feel good because you're down, by 2 scores. And all of a sudden you see these big plays. And a lot of those plays came when they were in less than ideal situations. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the plays in the Rams opening drive, there was a 3rd and 7, and I think it was Gerald Everett. Yeah, Gerald Everett. He scored. He had a 29-yard play on 3rd and 7. That just doesn't help with the morale at all. So, you bring up 5 touchdowns in 5 games for the Giants. I mean, this defense has shown that it can do some things. And Kevin Pierre-Louis talked about it today. They need to get the pass rush more involved because because you look at it and PFF Washington tweeted this out right before we started recording the show, is that New York has allowed pressure on 46.2% of its dropbacks. That's
not good.
Yes, that. I guarantee you that group of defensive linemen for Washington right now they're probably not paying too much attention to that right now, but they see this as an opportunity from a film standpoint to look, we can get after Daniel Jones if we need to. And they were a little bit stymied a little bit against the Rams, but it seems like they have a chance to really turn it around against the Giants.
Definitely, and just a couple more things going off that. The Giants have the worst rushing offense in the entire NFL. Yeah. So if Washington can really bottom up on 1st and 2nd down, that allows that pass rush to get after Daniel Jones, who is very turnover prone. He's thrown 2 touchdowns this year, 5 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles. Since his first game in the NFL, he's had 1 game where he hasn't committed a turnover.
Just one?
1 game.
Just one?
And that 1 game, of course, came against Washington.
Yeah.
But
go figure.
Washington was able to beat Philadelphia because it forced turnovers, it had turnovers on downs, and then it scored with short fields. They need to get back to that because these past couple weeks, the only guy making stuff happen is Kendall Fuller. Yeah. I mean, he's tied for the league lead in interceptions.
Which is wild because he had him play in the first, 2-3 games?
Exactly. So he's really the only one who is making those plays and those game-changing plays, and they need more of that. And I think it's going to help having Chase Young back at full strength. He wasn't even on the injury report. But this is just a game where the defense needs to set the tone, set up the offense with some short fields, and then with Kyle Allen, hope that he can build off of what was a pretty solid, couple of drives against Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Well, also a little addition to that turnover stat that you gave about Daniel Jones. He's fumbled the ball 22 times in 18 career starts, lost 14 of them. Wow. So almost 2/3. And real quick before we go to a break, we're going to talk about a little bit about some key takeaways that we need to see this week and going into the Giants game. Kyle, what do you see?
I think just going into this game, you really have to the defense, like I said, needs to be able to pressure Daniel Jones, and the offense needs to take advantage of his opportunities. Yeah. And one more thing it needs to do is stay on the field on 3rd downs. Mm-hmm. I think they have the worst conversion percentage. I think they're under 30%. And they need to get in 3rd and manageable, first of all, which really is going to come down to picking up good chunks of yards on 1st down, whether that be Antonio Gibson or the short passing game. And then when it's 3rd down, they need to be able to move the chains. However, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you're running the ball with Gibson, if you're finding McLaurin or Logan Thomas, you just need to stay on the field because this defense has been on the field so much and there's been so many 3-and-outs that the defense gets tired. Yeah. I mean, no matter how talented they are, defenses get worn down if the offense is continuing on the field. So being able to convert on third down is going to be big.
Yeah, so I agree with all that. Real quick, I think that they got to get Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin involved more. And you see what Antonio Gibson was able to do. I think he had like 70 something. I think he had 75 total yards of offense against the Rams.
So still good.
Yeah, still good, but you need to see more out of him, especially when you're running the ball. Terry, I think he had the lowest career receiving yards, not lowest career, but lowest of the year at least.
Yeah.
And you get those two players involved. Also, again, bring up the pass rush. You got to get Chase Young more involved. He's had 2.5 sacks and hadn't had any since his first 2.5. So I think you need to really get him more involved. And also offensive line update. We bring up that Brandon Sheriff, not necessarily off IR yet, but he is in practice, and so we'll see when he can get on there. He has 21 days to figure out when that's going to be able to happen. See if he can get him in a game for the first time since Arizona. And Sadiq Charles also is a guy that has been practicing a lot the last couple of weeks. And Ron Rivera said he has an opportunity this week. So we'll see what he can do. This offensive line, I think, is either last or dead last, or second to last in sacks allowed this year. So you gotta do something on the offensive line. You gotta find a way to protect the quarterbacks. And I think if they can do that, there's a chance they can get their first win since week 1.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about Washington. Let's find out what's up with the Giants, talking to their writer. So be right back. This fall, if you're looking for adventure, find it in a new Honda, like the turbocharged Accord, the turbocharged all-wheel drive CR-V, and the all-wheel drive HR-V with great features like second-row magic seats. It's time to explore and say hello to the open road. Don't miss your chance to get a great deal on your favorite Honda model. When it comes to the best value, Honda leaves the others in the dust. See your local Honda dealer and start your adventure today.
At RTS, game day strategy doesn't stop when the whistle blows. RTS delivers smarter, more responsible waste and recycling services. As an official partner of the Washington football team, RTS is connecting the team and FedEx Field with sustainable solutions to care for the community and the environment. RTS, a better waste company. Find out more at rts.com.
Has your business been affected by COVID-19? Have you considered reducing or moving your office space? Then it's time to call Victory Van. We provide the best service and price with flexible options for your company's moving and storage needs. Visit victoryvan.com to get your free moving and storage quote today. For corporate storage and moving, it's always the right move to choose Victory Van. That's victoryvan.com. Victory Van Corporation, delivering excellence for 75 years and a proud partner of the Washington football team. We're back, the rundown, and we're here with Giants senior writer and editor Michael Eisen. He's been covering the team for the past 21 years. He's been around the team for 35 years. So if there's anyone that we should talk to about the New York Giants organization, it's definitely him. Michael, how's everything going?
Well, other than an 0-5 record, everything's going great. Thanks.
Definitely. So I wanted to start with that because, like Washington, the Giants have a new head coach in Joe Judge. What is the morale of the team when you have a new head coach and you get off to such a slow start?
It can vary, but I think right now the morale's pretty good. Coach Judge he's had a lot of success. He's with the Patriots for 8 years before he came to the Giants, and he's keeping things upbeat. He's a very intense, blunt coach, and the players haven't gotten down. They've been in every game but one, and I think despite the record, the attitude's very good.
Okay, yeah. I've heard Joe Judge does have that reputation as being one of those guys. Daniel Jones is a guy that he inherited from the previous staff, and he's had 5 interceptions, 3 fumbles so far in his second year. What has his development been like?
Well, it's been a little up and down, frankly. He has had a turnover issue, both with fumbles and interceptions. But the team is very much committed to Daniel. They think he is a very promising young quarterback. Yesterday's quarterback's coach listed a lot of attributes. He gets the ball out fast, makes good decisions, he's got a strong arm. He does have to cut down on the turnovers, but he could also, use some more help around him. So, in time, hopefully starting this week, no offense, he'll start to turn it around.
Definitely. And you talked about the players around him. It seems like they have a lot of good skill players, at least at the receiver position. I know the loss of Saquon Barkley was huge, but what do you think has contributed to these offensive struggles so far?
Well, certainly the loss of Saquon, as you mentioned, is huge. I mean, he was Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. He's a two-time 1,000-yard rusher. We have not been able to run the ball well without him. We've also missed Sterling Shepard for the last 3 games. He is ostensibly our number 1 receiver, but Darius Slayton has played pretty well. Evan Ingram is a really good receiving tight end. We're missing some weapons. But I think the big thing is we have to start running the ball better. We did against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. We did some good things last week. This will be Devonte Freeman's 3rd game with us, and he's really starting to get more comfortable and fitting in. So hopefully the running game will elevate itself a little bit this week.
Well, kind of going off that, I mean, it's very rare, unless you're the Ravens, to have your quarterback leading in rushing yards. But what has Devonte Freeman had done in the past couple weeks, and what can he do to really, like you said, open up that running game a little bit more?
Yeah, he had a very limited package his first week. The first time he practiced was Wednesday. They gave him the ball more last week, and this guy's a proven runner in the NFL. He's rushed for. I don't know off the top of my head, 5,000 yards. He's been a Pro Bowler. This guy can be a legitimate number 1 running back. He's just knocking off some rust. He wasn't in a training camp this year. He joined us 2 weeks ago. And I think once he gets going, he's going to be that kind of workhorse back we really need.
Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, the Giants actually have a top 10 total defense in terms of yards allowed per game. What has allowed them to have that success this far?
I think up front, we're very deep up front. First of all, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams are 2 very good defensive linemen, run stoppers. And then we have Blake Martinez, our middle linebacker, one of our defensive captains, who was a free agent from Green Bay. And, he arrived here with the reputation as a tackling machine. And you say, oh, yeah, that's what they always say. The guy gets a lot of tackles. But the guy is a freaking tackling machine. He's unbelievable. I mean, he's just all over the place. And he's also has a couple of sacks. He's a leader. So I think our front 7 has really done a good job, particularly against the run.
Well, Michael, so this defense, this New York defense, if there is one way for Washington to exploit them and exploit a weakness, what would it be?
Well, I don't know if I should tell you that.
Where have they struggled, I guess?
I think, it's no secret we've had we're looking for a guy to play the right corner opposite James Bradbury. Bradbury has been a lockdown corner on the left side. He was a free agent acquisition from Carolina. He was leading the league in passes defensed. I'm not sure if he still is. We've tried 3 different players on the other side, Corey Ballantyne, Isaac Yadam, who we got in a trade, and Ryan Lewis, who was beaten actually for a big play at the end of the game last week. I think we're still looking for that one guy to man the other spot. And then the safeties have kind of been rotated. We started with Peppers, Jabril Peppers and Julian Love, and then Logan Ryan has taken over. Peppers missed a game and then played sparingly last week. So we're trying to solidify the secondary. So what I'm saying in a very long-winded way.
Definitely. And before we let you get out of here, Michael, just one last question from me. What do you think are the keys to the game on Sunday? Where is this game going to be decided?
Well, I think, again, it'll be we have been exposed in the secondary a little bit. We have to play better. We have to apply pressure to Kyle Allen. And, Daniel Jones, he has 3 wins in 17 starts. 2 of them are against Washington. So he has demonstrated that he can beat this team. He had a great game against them last December 22nd, 5 touchdown passes. So, I think offensively, we kind of got to get Daniel going and maybe hit some plays early and get his confidence back. And, maybe he'll see that burgundy and gold and say, oh, yeah, I can beat this team. I've done it before.
Definitely. Well, it should be a good game. Michael, we really appreciate your time. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they read your work?
Giants.com. I'm all over Giants.com.
All right, we'll be following along. Too bad we can't be in New York this weekend, but yeah, like I said, we'll definitely be following along, and hopefully next year we can meet up in person and talk NFC East football.
Thanks for having me.
Finch Services Incorporated, recognized in its industry as a world-class organization, is the exclusive supplier of John Deere golf and sports turf maintenance equipment for the Mid-Atlantic region. In business since 1945, Finch helps golf course and sports turf managers maintain some of the most exclusive playing surfaces in the region. Experience the Finch advantage for yourself. Contact one of our golf and sports turf sales specialists to see how we can help you maintain your field of dreams. Go to finchturf.com for more information.
We're retiring our old name and launching a new kind of legend. The journey starts now. Visit WashingtonJourney.com for latest insider news related to the team rebrand.
Couchgating, presented by the DC Lottery. Couchgating is the new tailgating. Enter to win a chance at a WFT DC Lottery fan pack. Celebrate your Couchgate by sharing a photo using hashtag CouchgatingDCL. To have your Couchgating photo featured on the Couchgating Wall of Fame, please post your photos on social media using the tags @WashingtonFootball, @DC Lottery, and the hashtag CouchgatingDCL for consideration. Please note that not all photos will be accommodated on the Couchgating Wall of Fame, and all Couchgating photos are posted at the sole discretion of the Washington football team.
Zach, really good insight from Michael Eisen. I mean, he's been covering the team for so long, almost or more than
Longer
3
than I've
decades.
been alive, at
yeah,
least.
exactly. Longer than both of us has been alive, and he really gave us what we need to know going into the Giants game.
Yeah, it was really cool to hear what he has to say about Devonte Freeman, and he didn't really want to answer what kind of exploitations he wanted to see for the defense, but he did give us a pretty solid answer. So I mean, I understand it. Yeah.
Definitely. So we're gonna finish this up as we usually do with some mailbag questions, and then finish it up with who you got.
Love this segment. Love it.
Exactly. Me too. I mean, it's the only segment we've really been doing since the beginning. So hopefully people have enjoyed it. We've been putting it out on Twitter.
The old reliable of the
Exactly.
Rundown podcast.
The foundation of the Rundown podcast. So let's start out here. We got a couple questions from @TShiver79. So I believe Sadiq Charles, and Cornelius Lucas got some first-team reps on the left side at practice. Will there be some O-line changes this Sunday?
Well, that kind of goes into what we were talking about in the first segment. Is you have Brandon Sheriff who could be ready, could not be ready. We're going to see in the next 21 days if he's going to be able to come back to the active roster. And Sadiq Charles, he has a chance. He has an opportunity, according to Rivera, to get out there in some form. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a starter. That'd be, in my opinion, that'd be a little extreme to just throw him out there after not going through training camp and going through the first 5 weeks of the season without getting a game. But he could be maybe in some jumbo packages, maybe some tackle eligible plays, just to get an extra guy out there. I think if he does come back, it'll be a gradual succession. I think that maybe you see what he does out there in some goal line situations, and then as the games go on, you like what he shows on film. You put him in there for a little, maybe at left tackle. I know, back whenever he was drafted, Kyle Smith and Ron Rivera said they might want to try him out at left guard, because he has the size to do that. So, it's gonna be interesting to see because Wes Schweitzer, he's been playing pretty good, honestly. Yeah, I've been really impressed with him so far, and especially against the Rams, he had some really good plays. So, seeing there's a chance, but I think today will give us a lot more of a better answer for that.
Definitely. And I think the main thing is reinforcements are coming along the offensive line, whether it be Brandon Sheriff, Sadiq Charles. We're probably going to see some movement, definitely before the year ends. Who knows the next couple of weeks. But as these players come back, Washington's going to have a lot more options to figure out the best combination. Yeah. Just moving on here, second question. And it kind of stays with the offensive line. It's from the Stall God, all caps. That's an interesting name. How can you properly evaluate QB play behind a weak offensive line?
Well, it is definitely a challenge. I mean, like I mentioned earlier. Washington is one of the highest sack allowed teams in the league right now, and it does present some challenges, I think, because you really want your young quarterbacks to have some time to go through their progressions and make some plays. But it's hard to do that when you have, say, guys like, Chandler Jones, whenever they were playing against Cardinals. Yeah, Aaron Donald just bearing down your neck right there, just, waiting to take you to the ground. So, I think it comes down to just making your progressions as fast a manner as possible. I think is, you want to see them make the right decisions. I think, and that's the thing that Rivera has harped on pretty much since training camp began. Is that they want to see the quarterbacks do what they can do to make the right decisions, make the right throws. If they don't make if it's not a completion, that's not really necessarily on them, depending on where they throw it. They can't really affect the line play that much, but they can affect what they do pre-snap, during the snap, post-snap, every day. So that's the best way you can evaluate them.
You said it all.
Yeah. Well, you got this question here from Big Doug Show. What's going on with Moreau, Fabian Moreau? What's going on with him?
So Fabian Moreau, he had a really good start to the year, and I think he was one of the highest graded cornerbacks according to Pro Football Focus. The problem is that Kendall Fuller came back, and with Kendall Fuller on the outside on one side, Darby on the other side, there's just not room for Fabian Moreau. He's not playing in the slot, so he would have to play on the outside. And I think it's really just a matter of personnel. And they think Kendall Fuller is a better outside cornerback, which, he's proven it over his career, and he has 3 interceptions this year. So it's just a matter of personnel. And I don't know who it was, but someone asked Coach Rivera yesterday about would they move Kendall Fuller to safety and then have Fabian Moreau.
That's been a growing Twitter conspiracy. It's not considered a conspiracy, but it's not an unshared opinion by some Twitter followers.
Exactly, because with the struggles going on at safety and with Kendall Fuller showing that he can play that position, and then Fabian have obviously showed early this season, late last season, that he can play outside. Would that work? And Coach Rivera, didn't want to reveal anything. Said, hey, we're gonna go about this and evaluate all these different guys. But I don't think it's as easy as people think it is. I think Kendall Fuller, and he said it in the offseason, he's an outside cornerback first. And that's what his number one position is, and I think that's where he's best. So is moving him back there and putting Fabian in the best for your defense overall? I think if it was, they would have maybe made that move already. But it'll be interesting to see. It's definitely an option on the table, but the main reason Fabian can't get on the field is just there's someone in front of him.
He definitely showed a lot of ability last year in the limited action before he went to IR. And I think at one point he was leading the team in interceptions. So that's a big thing that you need to watch. He definitely has the talent, so we'll see what he can do. Get this question here from rcraw91. How is Alex Smith feeling after getting live action?
Yeah, so actually Julie Donaldson talked to Alex Smith a couple days after the first game, and he said he feels great. And which is kind of crazy to think about based on what he has overcome and how much he got hit on Sunday. It seemed like every time he dropped back, he was running for his life. Aaron Donald jumped on his back. Those first couple of sacks, you're like, exactly, because based on what happened, and he just popped up, got back into the huddle or jogged off the field if the punt unit was coming on. But I think, and he said it after the game too, he really wanted to get hit. That was the one biggest thing that was that hurdle that you can't replicate in practice, because quarterbacks don't get hit in practice, and they don't even really have live contact. So I think it's a good sign. I think Alex Smith is feeling good. We saw him out of practice yesterday, and I'm just curious how this quarterback situation is going to progress going forward, because now that Alex has played and we've seen that he's healthy enough to be in the game and run an offense, it's going to be very interesting to see how this progresses.
Ron Rivera said Monday that he knows he's going to be sore, but it's going to be like a good kind of sore.
That's right.
Which I imagine after getting hit by Aaron Donald, you're going to be sore. But yeah, I understand after not playing for 2 years, you almost kind of miss it, I would imagine.
Definitely, yeah.
For sure.
And then last one from Wistable Stev, STEV 1.
We'll take our best guess.
All right, John Bostic seems to be an absolute liability. I don't know if I would say that. Is linebacker a bigger need than safety?
I disagree with that. I disagree with a lot of things about that tweet, actually. Because one, John Bostic is leading the team in tackles with 42. And I wouldn't, maybe he does have some issues with coverage. You could say that needs to be an area that he needs to improve. But I don't think he's liability at all. I think that he does what he's asked to do. Last year he was a middle linebacker making calls, and he's almost as much of a leader, if not more so, this year. That besides Thomas Davis. They're both like the two of the oldest guys. Thomas Davis is one of the oldest people in the league, period. But John Bostic is one of the oldest people on this team. So he has that kind of experience. He has the leadership, and this defense follows him, I think. And as far as linebacker or safety, I would say safety maybe is probably a little bit more of an issue, because you look at what Troy Apke has done or has not done, given a big play, and that's an issue that this defense needs to fix. It's, bringing it full circle back into big plays. You got to find a way. The safeties are your last area of defense, and you have to find a way to stymie at least a little bit those big plays. So I would definitely say linebacker not a liability over safety, and Bostic definitely is one of the better players on defense, I think.
I totally agree with you. I think he's one of the leaders on defense. He makes all the calls. He did the same thing last year. He leads the team in tackles. What more could you ask him to do? Yeah. And in coverage, it's not like we're highlighting, oh, hey, Bostic got beat on this play and that play. He's not someone who's standing out of, oh, wow, he's really a liability in coverage, which makes it seem like he's been okay in coverage. And that's something he's really worked on this offseason. Right. So I think safety is clearly the biggest concern. I think it's the biggest concern on the defense, and they also don't have other options. Whereas at linebacker, you have Cole Holcomb, who practiced yesterday. He could be back. You have Thomas Davis, KPL, Sean Dan Hamilton. They got options there. So if they didn't think John Bostic was performing up to snuff, they're going to put someone else in. Whereas at safety, you have Troy Apke, DeShazer Everett, neither of whom have been a full-time starter before this year. Yep. And your only other option really is Cam Curl.
Although he's looked pretty good so far.
He has, but he's been more of that. He's been that third safety when they're playing in those packages.
Nice little sprinkle of snaps in there, yeah.
Although he's getting up there. He had his career high last week, so they like him, and who knows, maybe it's a matter of time before he gets that job, but definitely I don't think linebackers has been the issue so far.
I don't either. And with that said, we're going to move on into, I think, both of our favorite segments of the entire show, and that is who we got. Brief clarification here. I definitely did have Kyle Allen performing better than Jared Goff last week. Yeah, so I think you did win that matchup at 3. But we got 3 more questions here for this Giants game, and the first one is, who's going to have more success on third down, the Giants offense or Washington's offense? Who you got?
So something's got to give here, because they're two of the worst teams in the NFL when it comes to third down. Washington is last. Yeah. They're less than 30% on third down. New York is better. They're 22nd, 40%. I think Washington this week is going to have a better percentage. I think they're going to be able to sustain drives more, and I think that's going to be because of the success they have in first and second down. They're not going to be forced to throw it on third and long, and giving their offensive line, more time, because the defense isn't just going to be pinning their ears back. So I think this is going to be the game where Kyle Allen's going to be able to move the ball down the field and convert those third downs to keep drives alive.
I'm going to go with Washington's offense too, but not for the same reasons. I'm going to go with Washington's offense because I think just bringing that 46.2 pressures again on dropbacks and for the Giants offense, and I think this defensive line is going to do much better than it had. They started off leading the league in sacks, and then it's kind of progressively went down to where they're 6th now. This defensive line can play better than that, and 6 is not bad at all, but they can definitely perform better. So I'm going to go with Washington as well. I just think, offensively they have some things they need to work on, but I do think if you stick to the plan of Terry and Gibson with a sprinkle of McKissick and some Peyton Barber apparently, Scott Turner said he wants to get him more involved. I think Washington's offense, it can't be as bad as it was last week. I think there's definitely room for improvement, so Washington for me.
Next up, more tackles. John Bostic or Blake Martinez? Who we got?
Well, I definitely know who Whistable Steve would not say. It's definitely, but for me, I'm gonna go. Michael said that Martinez is a tackling machine, and he is. But I got to go with what I know. I got to go with Bostic. I mean, he's been the leader on this defense, and he's played really well in spots. I mean, now everyone has had some room for improvements. Everyone has on this defense, but I just know Bostic has been one of my favorite guys since I joined the team last year, and I have no other reason other than like I like what he does. He's a good tackler. He had a career year last year. Yep. He's on pace for doing the same thing again this year. Why not go with Bostic?
Yeah, I think this is kind of a toss-up, so depending on who you said, I was going to say the opposite. But I think I was leaning Blake Martinez, mostly because, like Michael Eisen said, he's a tackling machine. I think he was one of the NFL's leading tacklers in Green Bay. He's doing the same thing with the Giants. I also think that Washington's going to be able to get their running game going and really get to the second level, which is going to give Blake Martinez more opportunities for tackles, but they might be 6 or 7 yards down the field.
So basically you're saying that Washington offense is going to be so good that Martinez is going to have no choice but to get more tackles.
Oh, yeah, because he's going to be the only guy is even capable of tackling these guys. So I think Blake Martinez is going to have a big game, but not for the reasons that people might think. I think it's going to be because the offense is moving the ball. And I think defensively for Washington, that defensive front is really going to be stout, and John Bostic's not going to have as many opportunities. So.
All right, that's okay. All right, I'll let you have that one. That's an acceptable answer. Okay.
All right.
Last one. This one's going to be a tough one. More rushing yards, Washington or the Giants? Who you got?
Can I pick neither of them?
Don't be a hater. Don't be
Can
a
I
hater,
pick
man.
the field? Like everyone else in the league is going to have more rushing yards because these are the worst two rushing offenses in the NFL. The Giants are averaging 79 yards a game. Washington's averaging 81.4. So neither of them have gotten the ground game going. And I know Washington has. I'm assuming the Giants have too. They probably have just abandoned the run being down by so much. I know Washington is near the bottom in rushing attempts as well. But my pick, I'm gonna go with Washington.
Okay.
I think they're gonna try to get Antonio, or you know what? They're trying to get all their running backs going. I'm gonna include Peyton Barber. You gotta stop leaving him out. He's in this. Him, McKissick, Gibson. I think they're gonna all do pretty well on Sunday. And I think the Giants really only have. I mean, you said it. Daniel Jones is the leading rusher, and Devonte Freeman has shown he's a capable running back, but he's really the only guy they have. So I think that Devonte might have the most rushing yards like out of anyone, but I think when you're talking about the team, Washington's going to have more.
You know, you're forgetting about one guy for Washington's rushing attack.
Who?
It's Danny Dimes, man. He leads the team with 130 rushing yards.
You got faith in Danny Dimes?
I mean, look, Cole Holcomb said yesterday, he's like, look, I know that he's not exactly like Lamar Jackson or like Patrick Mahomes.
He's definitely not Lamar Jackson.
No, but he can scoot if he needs to. He has some speed. So I think, and we're not going to call it a two-pronged, two-headed monster rushing
Two-headed attack.
Yeah, but I do think that, you know, having that ability just like to have the threat of having Daniel Jones come out there and do a little read option, or you know, keep on a read and just go up the sideline for like maybe just a 5 or 6 yard gain every now and again. I think that's going to end up being the deciding factor. So I'm gonna go with Giants and Danny and see what they can do. I know Washington has done some good things with Antonio Gibson. Don't doubt them at all, but also for the sake of just being different than you,
I was going to say,
go with New York.
Yeah. I know. Ever since we had those 3 that were the same, we're like, we got to at least have one. So, all right, that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to put the poll on Twitter, so be sure to check that out. You guys have been really good about responding to that. That's all I got, Zach. You got anything else?
Well, we got to make sure they know all the plugs. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You can check
Stitcher.
Us out. Yeah, can't forget Stitcher. Stitcher is the underrated podcast streaming system. So, you can find him on the Twitters at Kyle Stackpole, Zach D. Selby. We're delivering you the best content all the time, every time. And this has been The Rundown.
COVID changed everything. More demands on students, parents, educators. But there was a $4 billion education shortfall in Maryland even before COVID. We have a lot to do for our kids. Close the digital divide, provide opportunities to pursue vocational and technical education, and hire more qualified teachers. Question 2 will put millions into Maryland schools using revenue from sports betting. I know it won't solve every problem, but a yes vote will help our Maryland schools.
For more than 100 years, Chesapeake Employers Insurance has been helping Maryland businesses keep their workers safe. With competitive pricing and an AM Best A- financial strength rating, it's no surprise that Chesapeake Employers is Maryland's largest writer of workers' comp insurance.
At the end of every workday, someone's waiting for your safe return.
Connect with your agent or visit CEIWC.com.
Locally owned Novec is energizing the community in powerful ways. From sponsoring meals for first responders and medical professionals to donating generously to area food banks, Novec knows we're in this together. Novec and customers are funding crisis energy assistance by having their bills rounded up each month. Novec and employees are supporting local charities through Novec Helps. That's the power of working together. That's Novec.
And now, time for another Honda highlight. Jed was in mid-season form when his car went into an early retirement. Looking to upgrade his roster to all-wheel drive, Jed went down to his local Honda dealer. Jed scouted the CR-V, Pilot, Passport, and more. In the end, Jed saved his season by picking up a new versatile HR-V with collapsible magic seats. Savvy stuff, Jed. Very savvy stuff.
Save your season with a great deal on an all-wheel drive Honda. See your local Honda dealer today.
This is London Fletcher. Join me in supporting the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's Red Ribbon Week and National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. Talk to your loved ones about drug misuse, participate in drug prevention and education activities, and take the pledge to be drug-free. Then on Saturday, October 24th, clean out your medicine cabinet of unused, unwanted, expired prescription drugs to take part in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. Visit DEATakeback.com to find a collection site near you.
COVID changed everything. More demands on students, parents, educators. But there was a $4 billion education shortfall in Maryland even before COVID. We have a lot to do for our kids. Close the digital divide, provide opportunities to pursue vocational and technical education, and hire more qualified teachers. Question 2 will put millions into Maryland schools using revenue from sports betting. I know it won't solve every problem, but a yes vote will help our Maryland schools.